I'm Victoria Brandon. I'm a Lower Lake resident. I'm not representing any group today, but I am speaking from the perspective of someone who has been involved in land use issues in this county for a number of years. And also, I was a member of the committee that wrote the ag element of the general plan. And so I read this ordinance very carefully from that perspective and was going to make some comments about that. But Community Development Department, from their professional perspective, has provided a lot of that information, and there's no real point going there. I do want to say that it's really a lost opportunity here that the people, the green farmers who wrote this initiative based it on right to farm instead of on the ag element, because that includes a lot of provisions they could have tiered off, which would have helped to minimize conflict. That's why they were written in there. What I do want to speak to is what seems to me the basic failing here, and it's really so sad that this happened this way, in the process by which both the county's ordinance and the Green Farmers Ordinance was written. In both cases, the provisions were created by one side of a debate which is quite polarizing. And the county came up with an ordinance which evidently some of the local growers and also some of the local people who were growing for their own use in their backyards, a few plants, felt they simply could not live with. And in this case, we've got an ordinance which obviously has got a lot of flaws. It's admitted by the proponents of it. And because it's being proposed as a ballot initiative, it desperately limits the ability to tweak it, as would be normally the case with something which the county adopted. But in both cases, these problems were created because only one side of the issue was at the table at one time. We can't deal with contentious issues that way. We wind up with something that one side or the other feels they just can't live with, and they resort in self-defense to what is, in this case, I would think it's kind of a nuclear option, which is a ballot initiative.
Victoria, I have a question. How do you arrive at the fact that it was one-sided? Because every meeting that I attended, Ed Roby was there.
I wish Ed were here, because he told me just 2 days ago that he felt that his input was completely ignored throughout.
It's interesting because it was a big part of...
And Ed's got, I think he's got 14 acres out on Perini Hill. He's not a marijuana grower. And I think the people who are involved in this have to have a voice, or else you wind up in a situation like this where they felt that their needs were so completely disregarded that they had to go take this option. It's really unfortunate. And we've got an example here in this county of a different approach that really worked. It was long and cumbersome, and that's the county grading ordinance, where you got a lot of people who had very different perspectives, got them around one table, not in a public meeting where they're appealing to the audience, but where they're appealing to each other about their own specific issues, and they hashed out something that worked. I'm really, really proud of our grading ordinance. I wish I'd been on that committee. And I think we've got had an opportunity to do that here, and we still have it. I hope the county, whatever the decision is today, will call together a group that is truly diverse, represents all sides of this issue, and to try to come up with something which is better than this. We can do that. There are ways to address these issues, but only if everybody's at the table at the same time. And one thing that I think everybody involved absolutely agrees with is we need regulation of this. We've got, on the one hand, we've got the growers who want to become a respected part of Lake County agriculture. I realize that this depends on federal law, but we can still take some steps in that direction. This is a very high-value crop. I would hope to see it as an opportunity for Lake County to add to the diversity of our agriculture and to have it become a crop which is regulated like all other crops are regulated. And on the other hand, we've got an awful lot of people out there who are beside themselves at having their residential neighborhoods taken over by cottage industries, which are creating, you hear about the odor problem a lot, but what much worse problem from the perspective of a lot of people I've talked to is their fear of violence, is guard dogs, is all the rest of it, where essentially a commercial activity goes into a residential area. We can do a lot better at controlling this. The argument that this ordinance is better than no ordinance, I think would have a lot to be said for it, except for the fact that the county, if the board adopts it today, there's no way to come up with anything better except to take it to a vote of the people. It's really too bad that time is so short and the county can't come up with a compromise ordinance to place on the ballot in June. But after the voters decide, that option still remains. If the ordinance is voted down in June, the county could come forward with something really workable. There's time to do that. So I hope you'll take this decision today in consideration of take those considerations into account.
So which option, I still didn't get which option you were looking for.
I think it has to go to a vote of the people.
Thank you. Any questions?